What do you do when someone ignores your value? And then when you get upset, they work overtime to avoid having to deal with you. When you are in any kind of relationship with someone you care for, someone you've been good to, and they don't see your value, it crushes you. But instead of seeing this avoidant person who is hurting you as the low value partner they are and walking away, you begin to strategize ways to prove your value, and won't they be sorry when you are gone? Well, that way of thinking only works if you're actually able to leave. But if you're like me and you have an anxious attachment, leaving doesn't always feel like an option. Hello friends, my name is Maria, and for almost 20 years I was drawn to avoidant attachers who never seemed to appreciate me. I felt like I had to talk them into liking me or treating me well. I would work overtime to build myself up, or even go no contact, all so they could finally see my value. But if you're like me and you're ready to say, I don't have to build myself up just to prove myself to people who put me down, and the one change I made to show my value without saying a word, then grab a bottle of nail polish and let's talk. When we become romantically involved with someone that we are excited over and hopeful about, and they begin to avoid us, breadcrumb us, treat us as less than we actually are, we sure start talking to ourselves. For example, if they suddenly start being possessive or controlling, we tell ourselves, well, they did come out of a previous relationship with a toxic ex. And we begin to build our value by telling ourselves, I'll show them the love that they never had before, and they'll understand that not everyone is like that. If it turns out that they are heavily into alcohol or substances, or they begin to show any super mood swing, erratic behavior, we begin to tell ourselves, well, they did say that they had a really rough childhood. And then we begin to build our value by telling ourselves, I can help them work through their traumatic past. Or let's say their presence becomes inconsistent and they begin to blow hot and cold. So we tell ourselves, well, I know they're concerned about a family member and they're just busy wrapped up in helping them. Now, in this case, you don't so much build your value as much as you suppress your urge to ask for the consistency that you need, because a sneaking feeling in your gut thinks, maybe they're not someone who can give it to you, and you really were hoping that this relationship could work out. So, in your mind, being valuable to that person involves staying quiet and putting their need for inconsistent space first. And we talk to ourselves about these justifications, all while running in the background. We are trying to give them more of our energy and attention, or we're suppressing our needs to give them space, and we're trying to build ourselves up just so in their eyes we are valuable. They'll finally stop pulling away, they'll never leave us, they will stop ignoring you and suddenly see your value. But no one can ignore your value if you stop giving them the opportunity. If someone stands you up and totally blows you off for a date, you don't have to say anything to them. You do not give them the opportunity to do it again. If someone is punishing you by giving you the silent treatment, do not indulge them by begging them to talk. And I have a video about how to deal with the avoidant silent treatment that I will link at the end. And here's a lesson that I learned in relationships and in business. If you know you have been good to someone and they thank you by appreciating none of it and walking out on you, my God, let them go. You will 100% regret trying to negotiate with them, because if they don't see your value, they don't feel like they have anything to lose. They might be wrong about that, but that's how they feel in the moment. And there is nothing stopping them from walking out on you all over again. It doesn't matter how much you try to persuade them or build yourself up. and begging and negotiating. In the end, you are doing too much unnecessary talking. And this is sort of the point I want to make. You can tell when someone is unhealed and has been burned in love because they will talk to you about it. I remember sitting across from a gentleman on a date. It was probably maybe only the second or third date, telling him all about the jerks I had dated in the past and what I was no longer going to put up with. And if a guy ever did that to me again, I'm not sticking around. Yak, yak, yak. And it was all talk because that guy ended up pulling away, playing hot and cold, using me for one night stand fun when he felt like it. And I put up with all of it. I was all talk. Here is one big lesson that I've learned. People who are comfortable enough in themselves and confident enough to know that they will hold their own boundaries, they don't talk like this towards someone they first met. In fact, and this is my own experience, they probably do a lot less talking than they used to, because they just don't put up with it anymore. I remember after learning about boundaries, and I resolved to no longer chasing people that showed me they were going to decide when I existed, or they showed me that they were not going to respect me. I knew I had to do the hard thing and let them go. Because if someone is avoiding you now, nothing in the future will ever be good enough for them, no matter how much money you spend, no matter what you do, no matter what you look like. Welcome to the other half, where we know attraction is not just about looks. We also need to take care of the inner half, because we need to build the valuable strength to be able to let someone go once we realize they are bad for the future of our spirit and our own mental health. And you would be amazed if you talk a little less and listen a little more. People reveal themselves a lot faster than you think, assuming that you have reached the point where you trust yourself not to give all of yourself away to other people while you are just getting to know them. You don't drop all of your valuable friends, all of your valuable hobbies, valuable missions. You don't just give them your valuable body. And here's another thing about not giving it all away. I have gone on dates with guys who were a little more shy, and I was sort of having to carry the bulk of the conversation. But one thing I stopped doing is I stopped talking so much, so quickly about deep or sad subjects like past trauma, family problems, exes, anything like that. If I was on the first few dates with a guy, or it was the first couple of months, I talked about things that were just lighter subjects. And I'll tell you, through doing this, I feel like I met healthier people, and I also met people who were more positive because we weren't immediately bonding over something traumatic. And there is another important aspect of letting people go that you know aren't going to be good for you that I think you need to be prepared so it can help you get through it to find people who are better for you. Even if you learn how to let the wrong people go, it doesn't mean that it won't be disappointing or that it will not hurt, especially during instances when you let them go and the no contact doesn't, quote, work, and they don't come back after 45 days. They disappear. No fighting for you, no nothing. And as messed up as that is, allowing the wrong person to ghost you will never be as messed up as chasing someone who will end up making you feel like nothing. A little pain right now saves you a lot of pain later. And if you know someone who has an anxious addiction to avoidant love, please share this video so even if someone out there is being ignored by someone they love, they'll know they're not alone, and they'll know that they are not as invisible as they feel. Relationships are complicated, so let me make one thing real easy for you. No one who is meant for you will ever ignore you. No one who is meant for you will ever punish you with silence on purpose. When you learn to listen to yourself and give yourself what you need, it won't matter what anyone else does, because you will never be ignored ever again. Everything becomes so simple. No more begging, pleading, or negotiating your value until you are pearl pull in the face. And if you want to know how to deal with the avoidant silent treatment, I'll put that video right here. My name is Maria Adriana. You did not have to live my life, but I certainly hope you can learn something from it. As always, thank you for visiting the other half.